Hi, this is Kim from Kim Can't Stop Crafting. I'm a design team member for Country Craft Creations, and I wanted to show you the project that I just recently made with the Midnight Ride collection. That's a Halloween collection that's exclusively, you can only get it at Country Craft Creations. I'm going to walk through this project and then I'll show you how to make it. It's super easy, so this is a great beginner's project if you have the envelope punch board, because that's what I used. So the box is 10 inches long, 3.5 inches tall, and it has a 2-inch base or spine. Okay, the sides do not have chipboard. The sides are actually open, and I used ribbon to connect the pieces. Okay, so I'm going to take the folders out, and so you'll see that there's paper on the inside and on the outside. So this is basically starting as a real thin, long cover. And like I said, this is connected with one piece of ribbon for the bottom, and then I used 2 pieces of ribbon at the top so I could tie it, and I did that on both ends. It looks kind of messy on this end, but okay. And then the back I just left plain. This is a cut apart. I had this flower already, and I had that ribbon, and I had this. So some of the embellishments are mine, but the paper collection is totally from the paper collection from Country Craft Creations. You get 3 of each design, so that makes it really nice. So let me show you the individual folders. So some of them have a left tab, some have a center, and some have a right. So all of them are just it's a folder, that's it. Decorated the front. On the inside, 3 of them have pockets that you can stick something in right here, and then I just put a mat for a picture, so I left these open so I could stick a picture in there, and then the back is plain. So let me go through those real quick. The second one, this one's real flat. The other ones have some dimension to it. The glitter paper was mine, and we have 2 of the cut aparts backed on white. I thought the white really made it pop, even though the folder is actually black. And then on the inside of this one, I left this plain with no pocket, and then I cut out a piece of paper, matted it on white, and then I have a place for either journaling or a picture, and then the backs are always plain. This one, I had the leaf dies that I cut out with my, those were my dies. Backed this on white, made a picture here. These are just letters. They're old. I've had them for a long time. I think they're actually Tim Holtz. On the inside, this is one that has a pocket. I put some beaded sparkly trim here. Left this open so a picture can be put here, but I still need to put stuff back here in this pocket. Back is plain. Just a picture with a few embellishments, nothing too thick. I had some bows. This is one that does, so it goes every other one that have pockets. The ones that don't have pockets always have 2 things on the opposite side. So some sort of decoration from the paper, and then a white piece of paper for a picture or journaling. And the back. The 5th folder, there's a total of 6 in mine. You can make as many as you want. You can always make your base or your spine bigger too, depending on how many folders you're going to make. This one I just put a lot of swirls, black swirls on there. You can see it pretty well there. This one does have a pocket, and I just lined it with some trim. I didn't want anything too thick on the inside, so the pockets are not a full pocket where you do the 1/2 inch scores on the 3 sides. It's just one piece of paper, and I just glued it on 3 sides so it wouldn't be bulky. So when you put something in, it doesn't go all the way to the edges. And the back of that one. And then finally the last one. This one has a little bit more thickness because I mounted this on foam squares. I had this heart and I just put it on there at the last minute. Flower. This one doesn't have a pocket, so it has the 2 picture, or the place for a picture, and then a cut apart from the paper and the back. So I will make the cover, the box for you, and I'll show you how to do the folders. I'm not going to decorate or anything on camera. I'll let you do that, but there are some things that you're going to need to have prepared. So you'll need 3 pieces of chipboard. Let me write the measurements on here so it just makes it easier for you to see. I have it on another piece of paper, but so you're going to need 2 that measure 3.5 by 10. So two of those, 3.5 by 10, and you're going to need one. I did mine at 2 by 10. You may choose that you need to do yours a little bit bigger, or maybe you want it a little bit smaller, but those are the measurements. And then you do want to prepare them by putting adhesive on the back. So I'm going to use my scoreboard. To wrap this, you just need one piece of 12 by 12. So that works out nice and neat. I told you this is going to be fast and it's going to be easy. I'm going to use the spacers. I'm going to place the spacer just at the top, and I'm going to put one on the 1.5 inch on the side. So your side pieces won't measure the same, but it's totally okay because we're going to wrap the book and nobody will ever know. So I'm doing this the traditional way that we used to wrap, and so I'm just going to lay all 3 pieces out. I'm going to put a 1/4 inch space between the pieces, and that gives your book folds, or your cover or box folds up a little bit easier that way, because you'll have that space and then the paper can tuck in there when you're wrapping it. I almost forgot how to do it the old way. I'm so used to doing it the new way where you wrap the pieces individually. I kind of forgot. So once you have the adhesive off, you just are going to put that like so, bump it up against the 2 pieces of, or the 2 spacers. I no longer need this one. I am going to keep the 1 inch at the top, but I am going to place a piece of the 1/4 inch score tape. That keeps my spacing, and then it helps the paper stick when I'm wrapping. Okay. So the next piece then will be your 2-inch piece. I'm just using some old adhesive that I had. This I usually use the score sheets, but I need to use this up. So I'm going to do it on this and go back to my score sheets after this project. I should have it all gone. I should be using my new pokey tools. I made like a ton of them. They are beaded and they're so pretty, but this one was handy, so I'm using this one, the old one. So you're going to want to bump this, go to the 1 inch at the top. Don't go over that score tape, just lay this down next to it. Once again, you're going to place score tape then after this piece. Right up against that chipboard. And now our last piece. Score sheets are so much better than this stuff that I had. A lot of times it comes up when I'm taking the backing off. It wants to come up with the backing. And it kind of bubbles, but that's okay. Alright, so then last one, bump it up against the 1 inch. Now we're done with that. Put my cutting board in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and burnish. Make sure it's got a So I'm going to go ahead and miter my corners. I do an angle. You can do the square if that's... I'm going to go ahead and fold it up first. So I'm going to bring it up and over and give it a crease on all 4 sides. Just kind of train the paper. Bring it up and over. so I have a mitering tool. If you don't, you're just going to cut at an angle across, but you do want to leave a little bit of space at the corner. You don't want to cut right to the corner. If you are the one, if you like to do it where you cut out the square, that's totally fine too. I just prefer the mitering. I don't know why. I guess creature of habit. So I'm just going to lay that down, get my, where's it at? My knife, or my blade, where's it at? And cut that right off. So you can see how much I left. Just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch. Do that to all 4 corners. Done with that tool. Alright, so now it's time to put your score tape around the perimeter of the chipboard and on your paper. I'm going to go ahead and remove the backing of these pieces first so I don't forget. Alright, so I just take my score tape and I don't stop. I go straight across so I don't cut it in between pieces. And you're also going to put it on the perimeter of the paper. I still use a lot of score tape when I do my covers, but then outside of that I usually use the art glitter glue. And I'll use some art glitter glue on the cover too. Or on the, I keep saying cover because that's what it starts off as, but it becomes a box. Alright, go ahead and burnish all your score tape pieces. Alright, so I'm going to do these 2 sides first. It doesn't matter, I just do whatever side I choose, I do the opposite one next. So I'm going to remove the backing of the bottom and the 2 sides. So using your art glitter glue, then you do want to run a bead of glue right up against the chipboard so that your paper wraps around it and you can burnish it and make it real smooth on the edge. I fill in with some glue here. Remove the backing of this one. Now when I bring mine up and over, I kind of start in the middle and kind of push out because I don't want any ripples. Once it's down, then I go ahead and use my burnishing tool, give it a good burnish, and then I go and do the side. Do the opposite now. Go ahead and take off both backings. Again, glue up against that chipboard, right up against it. I'm going to need to fill my bottle. This side has a little bit more paper, totally fine. Bring it up and over. Burnish. Do the side so it's smooth. Now, because I miter mine at an angle, I do need to do one extra thing, and there's a little bit of excess, so I just like to push that down so it goes around the corner. Kind of flatten it out. Some people use their fingernail. Then when I wrap it over, I will kind of push down those edge corners so they don't come up. So I kind of put my finger where I flattened them. And I bring that up and over. Now this is artisan cardstock, so it's a little bit stronger than some of your papers because it does have fibers in it. So you might want to be aware of that as you burnish and stuff. If you're not using artisan, be careful so you don't rip any paper or anything. Oh, got flatten the ends. Push it down. And voila. I don't know if you can see how smooth that is, but all right, so let me throw away these backing pieces. So you are going to want a piece of paper to cover this spine piece. If you're looking at it like this, you're going to go 5 inches across by 9 7/8 tall, and you're going to want to put adhesive on that paper also. Okay, again, this piece is going to cover the spine, which will be ended up being the base, and it was 5 by 9 7/8. And I went ahead and put all my score paper, my adhesive on the back. You do want to fully cover it so that you don't have any buckling when you bend the side pieces up. So then you're just going to center it. Make sure that you have about a 1/16 or a little bit of space at the bottom and the top. Once you put that down, burnish it real well. Okay. Now at this point I go ahead and I start bringing up the side piece and I kind of tuck it in to that gusset or that space where the tape was that we put in there, and that will kind of grab that paper. Just slowly bring it up and continue to tuck. Again, this is artisan, it's a little bit stronger, so be careful if you're not using artisan. And you just need to have it at a 90-degree angle, 90 degrees to the base. Okay, I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing to the other side. Just start bringing it up. Start tucking that paper inside that space. Okay, and that's the front, the back, and the bottom. Okay, so at this point you can put your paper on the inside on the bottom, not on the two sides yet, but this can be a 2-inch strip, 2 by 9 7/8. Put your pattern paper down, and before you do the pattern paper on the inside, you do need to put your ribbon on. So if you want to do the outside, you can. I go an eighth of an inch smaller, but you might want to measure, because once you put this cardstock on, it does get a little bit, like I would go maybe, no, that's 1/16, but I would go, if it's 3.5, I would normally go 3 3/8, but I might make it a little bit longer, like a 1/16 of an inch longer, just because there's some extra space with that wrap paper. Okay, so maybe almost 3.5 tall, 9 7/8 long. This one, a 2-inch does fit on the inside and on the outside, so 2 by 9 7/8, because again, when you wrapped it, it did get a little bit, you can get away with 2 inches. And so you can go ahead and paper the outsides, all 3 sides, just the inside. So before you, just the inside base. So before you put the sides on, you're going to want to get your ribbon. And let me get mine because I forgot it. I don't have enough of the black and white gingham that I used on the other one. So see, I used that, and that's from the store. Love it, but I ran out. Or I didn't run out, but I don't have enough to do both sides. So how many yards is 3 feet of each? 3 feet? It's only a yard. 12, 24. Oh, that'll work. 12, nope, 12, 24. Nope, that's not enough. Hold on, I gotta get a different one. I'm going to order some more. I'll just show you how to do one side, and then I'll order some more so I can finish the other side over here. So what I did was, for the 2 ends near the bottom, and I brought it up about 1/4 of an inch, I cut, I believe, 4-inch strips. No, 4.5. So these are about 4.5 inches long. And I eyeballed it. If you want to measure, you can. And from this crease, I went about 1/4 of an inch over. And the first thing I did, I'm going to glue about 1 inch down, 1 inch of the fabric ribbon onto the board. So I'm just going to, like I said, I just eyeball it. About 1 inch. Now I want to make sure that stays secure because it's going to be holding my box together. And so what I did, after I glued it and let it dry just for a little bit, I have this black masking tape. It's actually duck masking tape. And I used some of this and just laid it on top, and it's black so it matches. You don't have to do that. I mean, but I think it's good to have that extra protection. Where are my scissors? So I did one. I didn't go too far down because I don't want you to be able to see it. And then I'm going to do one more. Like so. Okay, you're going to do the same thing over here. Let's see if I have enough that I can show you. I might just, I might be lucky. Let me cut another one. So on this end, you're going to do the same thing, about 1/4 of an inch from the crease. Yep. And then I'm going to glue about 1 inch of the ribbon down on there. So I first start with my glue. Like I said, you can measure if you want to be exact. So because our spine is 2 inches, we want 2 inches of ribbon in the middle. Okay. So my tape. Oopsie. And one more. Okay, so before I wrap it to the other side, I'm going to do the top. And now you're going to want a 12-inch piece coming out on each end up here, and 12-inch pieces coming out here on the top of this one so that you can tie them. So let's see what I have enough. I think I just have some. So 12 inches. 12 inches. That'd be nice if I had the right amount. Nope, I don't. I'm 1 foot short. That's what I have. I needed 12 inches and that's all I got left. So I'm short. Oh well. Okay, so now this one I want pretty close to the top. So once again, I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch down from the top, and I'm going to glue about 1 inch of the ribbon down on the chipboard. And just like I did before, I'm going to use tape. And I don't want it to see, it's black so it blends in real well. Okay, do the same thing to the other side. About 1/4 of an inch down. Okay. Tape. So on this side, you can now put your pattern paper, just on this side. And again, I did the measurements of 3 and about 3/8, between 3 and 3/8 and 3 1/2, and 9 and 7/8 long. Now once I glued that down, I wanted to make sure that my ribbon was really secure. So after I glued the paper, I put a bunch of clothespins all the way around to make sure that that paper stuck to the ribbon. So I made sure that it wasn't going anywhere, and I let that dry for quite a while. So once that part's done, on the opposite side, you're going to need 2 more 12 inches, and that's going to be for your top, so that you can bring these up and tie the 2 top ones together. Okay, now I just have 1, so I'll just do 1, and you want to, again, same measurement, about 1/4 of an inch from the top, and we're going to glue about 1 inch of the ribbon down. This part is easy. It's that bottom piece that can get a little tricky when you're attaching it to the other side. So let me tape this down. And it kind of smooths it out so that when you lay your paper down, you don't see that big ridge. Okay, so now you're gonna, after you put the top one on, or the 2 top ones, you're gonna take this piece and you want it to be about 2 inches, and you're going to glue that, you're going to glue that down on the other side, and then you're going to put tape on that also. Okay, then when you tie the top, it will help keep it together then also. So once that is dry and you put tape on it, you do the same thing to the other side. Attach, put some glue on your cover, attach it so that it's, watch your box so that it's standing straight up, 90-degree angles from the base, and then glue that and put tape. Once you have that done, then you can go and slide in your pattern paper. Okay, let your pattern paper dry for a while so that it really sticks, and like I said, put these clothespins around the edge, especially where the ribbon is, so it stays put. And that, you guys, is all you do for the main box, because then you would tie these two together on the top and you would have it like this, and tied. Okay, that's all I'm going to show you for the box. You can do your own pattern paper and all that. If you have questions about how to attach, let me know, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to put that to the side, and now let's move on to, I gotta save that. Was that 12 inches? Should I have 12 and 12? Or did I glue the wrong one on there? I did. I glued the wrong one on. That's the short one. Well, I hope I can tie it. I'll go ahead and do this one. That was dumb. Oh well, I'll make it work. It will probably be tight, but I will make it work. Don't want the tape to be seen, so. All right. Two long ones at the top, well, somewhat long. This one could be tricky, and then two long ones on the top. Okay, so now for the folders, you use 8.5 by 11 paper. So however many folders you want, that's how many pieces of 8.5 by 11 you need. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the center tab and the ones that are on the left and the right. So at this point, I use the envelope punch board, and you're going to open it, and I don't do any scoring yet. I'm going to do my cutting first. So with your 8.5 inches across the top, this one would be for your center tab. So you're going to do this at 2 3/4 and punch, flip it upside down, 2 3/4, punch, and do I want the, I gotta see what I did here, just a second. On my center pieces, yeah, okay, and then flip it over and do the same thing, 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. So let's move this for right now. If you don't have an envelope punch board, you could just use an actual folder and trace it, or actually use the folder if there's black folders out there. So at this point, I'm going to get my ruler and my blade. And on one side, I'm going to cut out the middle. Like so. And on the opposite side, I'm going to cut off the two outside edges. And you guys, this has been around for a long time, so you might be familiar with this anyway. So at this point then, I notch the edges So I place this in the center here and punch so it has that kind of edge. And I'm going to do it to this side. And flip it. Okay. Now if I measured correctly, when I first started making these, I just folded them in half, and that doesn't always work. So I measured the ones I finished, and it looks like 5 3/8, I think. Let me double check. Because you want the top of these to match the top, line up with the top of the back. So it looks like, oh, 5 5/8. Yep, I'm going to try 5 5/8 and let's hope for the best. So put this in your scoreboard. Oopsie. And don't you do it yet. Let me try it first, so if I screw up, I can fix it before you do it. Anyway, scoring tool. So 5 5/8, so it's the mark between the 5 1/2 and the 5 3/4. If it doesn't work, I can just refold it, so I might have to adjust a little bit. Yeah, no, not even close. So I'm going to, I wonder why that does that. So I'm just going to line it up with the back. I'm not even going to worry about scoring it. I'll just use so I just line up the two, and then I'm going to bring my burnishing tool down and just flatten it. That way you're guaranteed to get it in the right spot. Like so. Okay, now when you put your pattern paper on, you're going to want your paper to be 1/8 of an inch shorter. So this measures 8 1/2, so you're going to want a piece of paper that's 8 3/8. This is 5 1/4, so you want your paper on the front to be 5 1/8. Now when you do that and you're putting it in your envelope punch board, then for your pattern paper, you also have to adjust by 1/8 inch. So let me see if I don't have any pattern paper handy. How can that be? Okay, let me use this old paper. So before we went to 2 3/4, so now I'm going to move it down a notch to 2 5/8. I'd flip it over, do 2 5/8, so you can see. Let me go ahead and do. So you do it the same way as the folder. Here, oopsie. Let me fix this real quick. So by going 1/8 of an inch shorter and moving it in, it lines up. Okay. Now that is for the center tab. So now when you do the left and right, the directions are the same. Okay, so now these are the directions for this. You do the same thing. So let me get a new piece of paper. So I'm just going to be making 2 more folders for mine. Get an 8 1/2 by 11. But this time, instead of doing 2 3/4, we go to 3. 8 1/2 inches across the top. Go to your 3 inch and punch. And that's it. You can go ahead and notch that edge. On the other side, okay, do 3 inches. Okay, so now on one side you cut off the long piece, and on the other side you cut off the short piece. Okay, so there's the one side, and then I'd go back and notch this. So because I cut the long piece off here, I'm going to cut the short piece off on the opposite side. Let me go ahead and tab those, or I don't know what you call that when you put it. Okay, so there's one side, and on the other side I'm going to notch, and on the other end notch. So instead of giving you the wrong measurements for where to score, so this one, the notch will be on the left. You want the top to match the top of the back side, like so. They should line up. So once I have them lined up, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to get my scoring tool, bring it straight down, and burnish it. Okay. Now you do the same thing for the other side. You would just fold it this way, and the notch would be on, or the tab would be on the opposite side. So when you're doing the pattern paper to put on top, again, you're going to do 1/8 of an inch smaller. So it's going to be 8 3/8 long. And this front piece would be 5 1/8 because it's 5 1/4 tall. So make sure you go to the very top. To do this one then, instead of going to 3, you're going to go to 2 7/8. So move it down to 2 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know why, sometimes when I do it on the corner it doesn't go all the way through. And you can see, I did it backwards, but that's all right. You can see that it's got that perfect border then. Okay. On the inside, same thing. If you want pattern paper, you always go 1/8 of an inch smaller or shorter. On your punch board, 1/8 of an inch. So the center one was 2 3/4 inches. The left and right tabs are 3 inches. That's for the base. For the pattern paper, you do just the same thing, but you go 1/8 of an inch smaller on the pattern paper. So this would be 2 5/8 for the pattern, and this would be 2 7/8 for the pattern. Okay. When I decorated these, you guys, this is super easy. I didn't do anything on the back of some of them. And then the ones that I did do something, I just took a piece of paper that, what's my measure? It's 8 5/8, 8 3/8, excuse me, by 2. These are 2 inches tall. And I just glued on 3 sides to make a pocket. You guys, that's it. That's all you do. Like I said, if you don't have an envelope punch board, just use a file folder and trace it and cut it that way. Or use the actual, if you can find black file folders, do that. Okay? I think that's all I'm going to show you. That's all there is to it. So let me move this out of the way. And again, here's the final project. Let me also show you something else real quick before I leave you as to what I made with the same paper, which is Midnight Ride by Country Craft Creations. That's the only place you can get it. It's exclusive. And it's so much more vibrant in person, you guys. And it's got such a smooth feel. It's awesome. So the other thing that I made, I just altered. I had a wooden box that had a handle, and it had a really ugly inside picture. And I took out that inside picture. And I made like a tag box, and I just covered all the sides. I had a Tim Holtz metal piece here that's a bat. I used a die and cut out a tree and just inked it with different colors of ink, black, brown, had some gold highlights, glued some little pebbles on there. Underneath I have that shimmery, what do you call that? Oh, what do you call that shimmery stuff, that hairy stuff you can get online? Crud. Okay, hold on. I'll figure it out. It is called... Fantasy Fiber. You can get it from the store, Fantasy Fiber. Okay. And then I glued the Fantasy Fiber down first, and I glued the tree on. I have a die for 31. Boo, glued that. These I have a die for, the tags. And then this is one of those little knob closures, and I just glued it down. It doesn't go all the way through. It's not like a screw thing. I just glued it smack dab right on the actual board. And I thought that would be cute just either for decoration or for actually using it for tags, but I just did different patterns from the paper, like so, and it just stands up. And I did, you know, I covered the back and the sides. So yeah, I love that paper. So anyway, that's that. If you have any questions, let me know. You're going to want to visit Country Craft Creations for this paper. And if you don't have an envelope punch board, I'm sure you'll be able to do a workaround. So, all right, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope that helped everybody figure out how to make it. Thanks.